Wow. All right. Check this out. So I guess good guy put this on his community page, and guess this is a story about emotional abuse recovered. This is from Predward's ex-wife Lisa Stairs. Broken and rebuilt. There's his ex-wife. Man, I don't know how the hell could Predward justify by abusing her and marital raping her as a torture, man. I mean, scumbag couldn't even handle a woman. Yes, and I think it's so appalling and disgusting. As jailhouse phone calls, how blonde Jabba said, "I love you, Edward." Every time I heard that after every phone call, I just wanted to shove my head through a wall and puke. Yeah, yeah, that's Predator's ex-wife. That's Lisa right there. Yeah. All right, let's read it. It didn't start out the way it ended. In the beginning, it was a good relationship, but slowly things went south over the course of years. In 2014 is where it began to fall apart. Our workplace shut down for remodel, so we were relocated to another store an hour and a half away. We worked the same shift, so it was easier on the both of us. This is where it became apparent I wasn't as important as I thought. While he ate out at restaurants with his crew, I wasn't eating, or if I did, it was the cheapest I could get. I would dig for change in the car sometimes just to get something to make it through the day. He never offered or asked if I needed money for lunch. He didn't offer to take me to a restaurant or even try to have lunch with me, even though we had the same shift. It didn't stop there, though. At home, it was always what he wanted to do, what he wanted to watch or listen to. Only times I got to say, only time I got any chance to watch it what I liked was when he wasn't there. It was on the phone or laptop. When friends would come over for a party, he would give a certain look if my quirky personality came out. He didn't like it, my weird personality, especially around others. I would apologize for me being me. I would shut down and be quiet the rest of the party, becoming the wallflower. I couldn't talk to any of our male friends or acquaintances because he would get jealous. It didn't matter if I spoke with them for a few seconds or minutes or if we both had known them for a long time. He didn't like them talking to me as well. It was around the time my father and grandfather passed when I reconnected with my childhood friends. He had even got extremely jealous over him, even though he lived 3 hours away, even going so far to refuse to come to my grandfather's funeral and carry the casket. I had to get another friend of ours to stand his place. The jealousy got so bad, he demanded I stop talking to him. He went so far as to punish me. Here it comes. Which I found out much later was considered marital rape. There it is. Right there. Marital rape. Punished. Marital rape. November of that same year, he died in a motorcycle accident, and the only thing he said was he was glad he was gone. He started staying at his mother's, but at the time his father was dying of cancer, so at the time I didn't think much of it. You know, family matters. He would come by and visit every so often to see my eldest daughter and our daughter. Around that time, we found out we were pregnant with our second daughter. His father passed at the end of November. All the while, he was at his mother's. He had been going to the bar to hang out with a friend. I'm sure if anything happened between them, but he sure was defensive over it and had kept it a secret for at least a month. He remained at his mother's and came by here and there, or when I had to go to the doctor. It wasn't long before we found out our little girl I was carrying was diagnosed with Down syndrome. There it is. And that was it, and after the child was born, I heard Predward didn't want to step up to be a father. He said, I'm not being a father to a Down syndrome retarded child. As the pregnancy progressed, he slowly started to disappear from the scene. When it was time for her to come, he was there but disappeared shortly after she was born. It was then when I was alone in the hospital room. But the pediatrician came and told me she needed to go to the Women's Hospital of Texas. By then, my mother and daughters had shown up to see her before they took her by helicopter to Houston. Once I was alone again, I cried and cried because I couldn't go with her. I was stuck in the hospital. I felt like a terrible mother for having her a little early. I felt so alone in that big room with no one there with me. He didn't even call to check on me. The next day, I was released late in the afternoon with him picking me up and bringing me home before he went back to his mother's. I finally got my little girl the next day when he came and got me. We took the hour-and-a-half trip to the hospital, neither of us saying much. He only stayed for 30 minutes or so before he decided it was time to leave. Sadly, I can only count on one hand the times he took me to Houston to see her. I had to rely on family, friends, and the travel services, though Medicaid, to go see her. I was broken. I was depressed. I felt like I had no one to turn to, or so that's how I felt at the time. By the time she was released from the hospital, it had been 2 months. He came with me because we had to room in to make sure we could handle having her home with a heart monitor. That night, I was the only one up with her. By the morning, I was a fragile mess. After getting her home, he would only stop here to help twice before he disappeared again. When it came to her appointments to specialists, he showed up for a couple times. The rest of the time was on me with 2 other children at home. Luckily, my mother and grandmother was helping me with them. All the work that had to be done at home was on me and only me. My mother being disabled, my grandmother being up in her years really put a damper on having help. Finally, in 2017, after my cat had passed away because of his stand-up window unit and the cold reply I got from him over it, something in me snapped and I was just done. He wasn't here, and when he was, he really wasn't a help, more of a hindrance. By August 2018, we were separated and I was back to work even though it was cut short by family medical issues. Little one was receiving SSI for her Downs, and this was when he began asking for money even though he made double what I made. Greedy little fucker he is. Soon the Attorney General got involved, and with many conferences that he didn't show up to, he decided it was a good idea to help by telling me to ask a male friend of ours if he wanted to rent our trailer since he wasn't there and I was staying at my grandmother's to help her. I asked him twice if he was sure about letting him move in there. He said yes, he was fine with it. About a month later, I get a call from him saying that I was sleeping with him. I was beyond furious. I was beyond insulted. I felt so much disrespect for him when it was his idea in the first place. He calls back a few days later saying he wants to work things out with me. The entire time I had been going back and forth with dates, even with him being served. I told him, okay, go ahead and fix us. I had tried and bent over backwards for you, even going so far to remodel our house alone, and it wasn't good enough for you. I gave him 3 months to do something, anything. He didn't call unless he wanted money. He didn't come by for a visit. He showed up to my eldest daughter's birthday, but didn't even bother show up to either his biological daughter's birthdays. This he using to show that he came to see his kids, even though he hardly did. He was delusional, telling everyone that asked that everything was fine. This wasn't the truth, and once the truth came out, he was trying anything and everything to fake through it. Then I found out about his gambling habits from friends where I once worked along with him. It got even worse from there after it came to light in the local newspaper that his brother was arrested for child exploitation, possession of a controlled substance, manufacturing, and intent to sell. He was charged with possession of controlled substance, none of which I knew about, even though I had confronted him on the matter many times in the past. My fears have been confirmed that he has slipped back into his old habits. I was shocked to say the least, but what came next surprised me even more. The attorney generals contacted me and told me to stay away from him for obvious reasons. They even went so far as to block my phone so he couldn't call me. They did this for the safety of the girls, which I'm thankful for. Now my journey has begun to heal the wounds he created. With the help of a little counseling, my supportive family, my friends that I have finally reached out to, and of course, the one person that has been there for me, comfort me, supporting, and has helped break the old habits he had ingrained in me. I'm almost back to who I was through. I don't know if I'll ever finally get there. Maybe with a little more time I will. I have to thank everyone that listened to or has read my story. Maybe it can help someone out there. Yeah, you know what? And here's the thing too. Predward ain't no father. I mean, Lisa is actually happy now she's got a relationship. Keith is more of a father than Predward did be. Predward and Memphis will ever be. I mean, he's just as bad as Scumrun Decker, Drake Cameron Decker. Marital rape is losers. Lisa did put another story up, but I'll just scroll through it because I already sucked up about 12 minutes of that. This is good stuff.